Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to make a girl gnome. We're already having the boy, we're making the girl. I hope you'll stay tuned. So I saw a video where a lady made a girl gnome, and I thought, how cool is that? But I didn't want to buy anything, and I mean anything. So even down to her braids, I'm making them from scratch. And so we'll walk through everything as I do it. The first thing I did was I took this kind of, I don't know, it's a twine, but it's a thicker twine. You can use regular twine, but we're going with this kind. And I made, this is 19 strands of the twine once it's cut in half. So what I did was I started with loop, and I looped 9 times so that there's 18 of them. And then what you have to do is I'm going to cut off my shorter strands, and those were the ones I started with. So I don't need those. And so this is really hard to cut, I'll be honest with you. Well, I'm going to leave them for, no, I'll just cut them off. It takes so much effort to cut one strand of it. I didn't really want to have to do this in front on the camera, but we're doing it. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your pieces. You want to make sure they're taut. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut them at the end. And you're going to, for me, I have to cut one at a time because, as I said, mine is super thick. And then if I have ones that are longer or shorter, we'll fix that in a second. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take them and you're just going to braid them. If you've never braided, what I did is I separated them into equal strands, equal number in each one of my little sets of 3. If I can do this, I pretty much think anyone can. And you're going to keep braiding. This one's probably going to be a lot shorter than the other one, so I think the other one is too long, but I wanted to have a starting place, and I went with longer strands. Then we're going to get a little piece of ribbon, and I'm going to tie off my braid. Okay, let's see how much shorter this one is than its buddy. It's a lot, it seems like it's a lot thinner too. That's weird, because I use the same number of strands. Well, let me add a couple more strands and see if that'll make a difference. All right, I'll be right back. So I wanted to make the feet a little bit sturdy, and so I cut the some black mat board that was really sturdy. Also very hard to make sure you get the back of it so it would cut through with the die. I didn't want to do that, so I fixed that. Well, I think I fixed that. What I decided I would do, the back of the mat board looked like this, and I wasn't crazy about it. So what I thought I would do is glue another black heart to that. Boy, my hands look nice, don't they? And I went around the edges with my Gina K ink, and I'll show you real quickly how to do that in case you've never done something like this before. You just want to lean it into the pad, and then when you get to the point, I put the point right into, hopefully you see this, I put the point right in there, and that's how you get everything black around the back. If you want it, you know, if you're making sure that that's what it looks, that it looks good on all sides. I don't think anybody's even going to see this because it's going to be glued under your gnome, but you never know, somebody might pick it up and go, oh, that's really cute, and you know, then you'll be like, oh, I'm so glad I put that black around there. I'm going to make sure you line it up before it glues itself down. And you know how it is with me. That was exactly why I was trying to tell you you should use wet glue, because you don't have time to get this glued down while you're, you know, monkeying around with it. You end up having it not glued down like this. So just sharing that with you. If you ever wondered what I was talking about gluing it down and making sure that the hot glue stayed in place and that you didn't have half of it hot and attaching and half of it cold and not attaching, that's the problem right there. Let me do this side, because I did one side with it, and now I'm going to do the other to make sure the whole thing is adhered. And you're going to push on the foam core side, because that way you'll have cardboard between you and the glue, hot glue, so you don't hot glue it to yourself. Now, the back of this will not be seen. I'll show you. I haven't finished the boy, but he's going to look something like this, and then hopefully you can see this, and then his feet, I have to put more in there because you can see it under that. When you're looking straight down it, you can see that white. So I'm going to have to get a Sharpie or an alcohol marker and color in there, because it is a little bit, you know, you can see it. Maybe if flip it over and do this side and you can't see it. Huh, that's what we'll do. But anyway, let me hold it up. The person that I saw on YouTube, and I'll make sure I put her information in below so that you know who it was. She used some things at the Dollar Tree that she bought that were hearts. I don't have the kind of Dollar Tree that has a lot of things like that, so I just use the die, as I said. And so all you do is you glue it underneath them so it looks like feet, like that. And I think actually that I want to cut, maybe I don't. If I just put him close to the front, hold on, I'm going to tip him up so you can see this. If I hold him, if I put it like this, I don't think you're going to see enough of them that you're going to go, oh, those don't look like, that looks like a heart. It doesn't look like feet. You know what I'm saying? So that's my plan. I'm going to do something with him, and he needs a hat, and then he'll be fun, and then we need to do our girl. I have my male gnome finished, and as you can see, I glued his heart's feet on the bottom, and I also made mittens for him. This mitten has a magnet on the outside that goes in our girl gnome's mitten, and then they'll be holding hands. I wanted to do something with this mitten, so what I think I'm going to do is, oh, I don't have all my lights on, is I'm going to glue all of these hearts together to make a box of chocolates, because that's what Valentine's Day is all about. And I used the same die from the set I made my feet from. This is my feet size. So if you want to do this, I'll tell you the size of this foot die. It is about 2 7/8 inches, 2 3/4 inches. No, 2 7/8 inches from top to bottom. And from the top side to side, it's about the same. And then for my box of chocolates dies, is it easier if I do it this way? It is about 1 3/8 inches from top to bottom, and across the top about the same. So this is the size for my chocolate box. Then I had this button in my button box, and these two acrylic flat back flowers. I like buying these kinds of things from AliExpress because they're cheap, and I like having a stash of those on hand. And then these I did 6 of, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hot glue them together. Look out, little gnome fella. And I'm just going to put a dollop of glue in the center, and then put my next one on it. And then I'm going to have Rich just fast forward through this part because I'm pretty sure you're not going to miss seeing all these glued together. Oh, I am going to glue another one of the red ones. If you never saw me do this, one of my viewers taught me this. If you want your glue sticks to stick together and go through the glue gun easier, that's all you do is you put a little dollop of glue on this one and then it sticks to the back of that one and then it goes through. Smart. My plan is to ensure that my box of chocolates is thick enough, and then I'm going to decorate the top of it because you don't just get a box of chocolates with nothing on it. Then the other thing we want to do is we want to make sure if you get the glue on it, you want to get the glue off, but you also, because these are mirrored, they will show fingerprints. You want to take a little bit of your stamp cleanser, and in my case it's just baby shampoo. Yeah, baby shampoo. I was trying to think if that was what it's called. Yeah, it is. Baby shampoo and water, and you just wipe it off. And if you have any strings hanging from your box of chocolates, now's the time to get those off. And I'm just going to kind of pull on those a little bit. And I'm going to put some red ink. I'm going to use one of my Gina K inks that's called Cherry Red. Pretty sure. Might not be called Cherry Red, but I think it is. And I'm just going to go around the edges of this. I'll show it to you once I've covered it all. When you get to the edges, just go into your corner of your ink pad. Clearly, I did not glue these on straight. What else is new? I'm going to take one that's as close as I can get to the color I want. And I want the, was this one you call a bullet tip? I don't even know. And then I'm just going to take my alcohol ink. And it doesn't have to be alcohol ink, but alcohol inks I think are more saturated, maybe I'm lying, than the water-based markers. I can see a lot more of the top on this side. I'll show it to you in a second as soon as I've covered it so you can see where my problem lies. Can you see on this edge, hopefully you can, that you can see more of the red, and right there you can really see red. Let me see if I can glue that down better. I know, this is what you're saying to yourself, holy crap, Sandy, what are you going to do now? You're going to end up with that all over you? Probably. What I was trying to tell you before I glued that down was that this side you can see more of the top red, and of course my finger, I've got a lot on there. Ugh, what are you going to do? So then this side, hopefully you can see after I wipe it off again. Hopefully you can see when you look at this side, you can't see as much of the top, the red on this side. So that's how we're going to glue it down. We're going to glue it with that side up. And I need to go over the top a little bit more because I have, since I squeezed that, you can see more of the top. Okay. So then what I want to do is I want to put my decorations on it. I'm not sure if you only want to leave these out at Valentine's Day, but here's what I was thinking. I could put it like this, but then the other thing I was thinking is I could put a magnet under his thumb and one under this, and then it would stay on there. So that's what I'm going to do, because why not, right? And I don't know if I showed you my magnets, but these are thicker than I normally use, but I wasn't sure if I would be able to put them through these layers if it was thinner. So I'll show you how big they are. They're not big around, they're just thick. There they are. And I'll get a ruler that's got centimeters, millimeters on it. And then you'll know how big it is. So this is in centimeters is what I think it is. And I'm going to put it so you can see it too. It looks like it's about 5 centimeters around, centimeters around, and about 3, if I had to guess, I'd say that's 3 centimeters thick. I don't know if you can guess that or not, but that's what it looks like to me. So in case you are interested in finding them, I also bought these on AliExpress. But you can find these on eBay if you like to buy from eBay instead. Okay, so I want to glue this. My plan, I've got a little problem with my foil paper lifting up, so I'm going to have to put a little bit of wet glue under that. I don't want to put hot glue because if I put hot glue, it's going to raise it and it's going to look weird. So I'm just going to put a little bit, and then I'm going to use my leftover felt from my mittens to take the rest of it out from under that leaked out, the excess glue. I'm going to put glue on the back of his thumb, like that. Then, he's falling over. Then I'm going to take this one, and I need to put this one face up on his thumb because it has to adhere to our project. Well, it works. It's kind of weird looking, but I'll show you in a second. Okay. That's what it looks like when it's laying on its side. And for some reason, my feet are not trying to stay on. I need to glue them more toward the front. And then the other one is made so that he can hold hands with his girlfriend that I haven't made because I'm going to make her on the video. On this video after I've spent hours not putting her together. So let me talk about what I'm going to be using to put her together. Now, in the past, I've always used rice, and I have to say I prefer the stability of rice over what I'm using for these. And what I'm using for these is a mixture of marbles. I'll call these Dollar Tree marbles. That's what they look like. And they're fine for the bottom of this, but what I found was the upper part. Okay, and this is a Dollar Tree sock. It's the women's department, I'm pretty sure, or else it's little kids. And you only get one pair, which isn't a bummer, but it's not cheap. And I thought I could do this with all things that I had on hand, but unfortunately, I had an issue with my man, and my man gnome, not Rich, and I had to redo the whole gnome, and so I had to go buy his socks. So I figured while I was out buying his socks, I didn't have white socks that I really liked. So I figured I would just go with this and buy myself some socks for this lady. And you want her to have a little bit of stability, so I'd used that much in the I'm gonna use a few more. What I think you need is enough marbles to make a base, and that base has got to be thick enough that it will stand up over time. And so that's what I did. I'm going to put another sock over it, so it doesn't matter to me that I've got lumps and bumps. So once you've done that much, then you need stuffing, this kind of stuffing. And most people buy it at a store, but as you know, I didn't want to buy anything for this project, even though I had to buy socks in the end. So the dogs gutted this little doggy. We buy them at garage sales. My girlfriend and I, all year long, we buy them stuffed animals because when we get home, they're waiting for us at the door to try and figure out where the stuffed animal is that they got this trip. So we have virtually, I would say, 100 toys that they have yet to destroy. So I'm going to use the stuffing out of this one. Since it's going to be inside my gnome, I'm not worried that was inside a dirty stuffed animal, because let's just face it, it's all relative, going from one stuffed thing to another. You want to stuff this as thickly as you can. You don't want to have this be something that will tamp down over time. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when you do something like this, you didn't have much filling, so you put in a littler amount thinking it will work. Well, it will work if you have a lot more marbles than I'm using, but if you do what I'm doing, you really need to have a lot of stuffing. So let me fill this with the stuffing I have, and I'll be right back. I have pretty much put her where I wanted her, and I need to make sure that I have her nose where I want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking probably, I don't know, this much. I don't know what this much really means, but that's how much I'm taking. And what I need to do first is I need to tie off the top. I'm going to do that off screen because it's easier if I do, well, actually I'm going to do the nose first. I lied. So I've tied the top off, and I'm just using, I think this is called embroidery thread. This is what it comes, it looks like this. And I got mine at a garage sale many years ago, and I use it for all kinds of things. And then I'm going to do my nose. And I don't want my nose to have a lump in it. And that little spot there seemed to have a lump that I didn't want. So I'm going to start with my string. And I'm going to try to pull the string around my nose, but I need to make sure that I get my nose in a spot like that, and then I'm just gonna put my string like this. Okay, so then you're gonna want to, what I did was I tied it on one side, and then I wrapped the two strings around to the other side, tied it again. It makes it easier to tie your knots when you do it that way. And hopefully I explained that well enough. And I'm sorry I couldn't show it on screen because I couldn't hold on to the strings and pull them without running into issues. Then what you're going to do, I'm going to put the pink and white sock on the bottom because I didn't want her to be so matchy-matchy with her boyfriend. You know, his colored sock is on the top, so I want to make it reverse. And I'm going to cut it right above the heel. Hopefully I'm in frame to show you this. I'm going to cut it right like that, and it's easier if I just do one layer at a time and then do the rest like that. That's going to go, you're going to put the toe down at the bottom of her. See how the toe has a stitching in it? You want this stitching that's right here, you want that to be on her back side, so you don't want it to be on the part where the nose is. So see, this is her stitching, and here's the nose on this side. The other thing you want to do is you want to cut the front so that her nose, you don't want to cut it below her nose, but you want to cut it kind of in that area. Cut up like that. Then we're going to pull it up around her nose. I wish I could get that little, I have one little boo-boo on her nose that I don't like. It's a spot where she's got a pinching in her nose. Clearly, I don't want it to have a pinching part to it. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, I'm going to do this on its side so you can see it. You're going to put, I'm going to take some of this foam, fuzz, that's from her sock. I'm going to put some glue right under her nose. This is looking at it from the bottom. So we're going to put like that amount, and then you're going to pull it on the sides. You're going to pull it up to and around her nose like that. And you want to hold it until it stays in place. Then if you want to, you can cut this excess off, but I'm going to leave it on because I like to make sure that there's a little bit of substance up here. And I'm going to put some hot glue all around kind of the back side of her. And then I'm going to pull that up so that she's got glue that's holding around her nose. I got to put a little more glue over here because we don't have any on that side of her nose. So I got to put that right up to her nose, and I'm going to use my scissors so that I can tuck the loose threads. And you want to hold it until it sets up like that. She kind of looks like a rabbit at this point. If her pink stuff was tied like two little ears, she would look like a rabbit. But right now she just kind of looks like a babushka rabbit. Okay. Then we're going to get our red socks, and these are called Snugadoo, I don't know, Snugadoo. And you get those. I got mine at my little Dollar Tree store, and I bought them yesterday. So let's see, this is January, I don't know, 29th, something like that, 30th, nope, 31st. So my store still had them in stock, so I think your store should have them too. And I don't want, on this case, I'm going to cut it like right before the heel or right on the heel so that I can get some, I don't know, do I want to do that? I'm doing it. But I'm going to cut it on an angle. I'm going to cut it like that. You want to keep these as far away from your man gnome as possible, because these little threads that come off, I don't know if you can see these little pink threads, these little pinkish threads are horrible to get out of that beard. So I try really hard to keep it away from him so that I don't have any issues with that. Okay, then the next thing I want to do is I want to pull all these things back. I'm going to tie them toward the back. We're going to call them the bunny ears for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how I did the nose. What I did was I went around it like this. Wait, I'm going to cut these other strings off so that they're not confusing. And so that if you do this if you let a child do this part of it, you do the hot gluing and they do this part of it, they know how to do it. You want to go around. We're going to say that this is the nose, right? We're going to go around the nose, and then we're going to tie one knot. Of course I didn't even get it in there. Okay, we're going to tie one knot, and then this is the easiest way to do it. While you're holding on to it, take it around the front, and then you're going to do it again. And this ensures, for me, it makes it easier for me to tie knots, because when you're trying to hold on to that nose and you're trying to do a double knot, it's really complicated. So then you're going to go like that and tie it tight, and then I go around the back one more time, and this in the back is where I do the double knot, because it makes it so much easier to do a couple single knots that aren't going to hold anything really, and then do the double knot in the back and get it underneath all these bunny ears. And then we're just going to cut that off. But if you don't have a bunch of pairs of hands to do this, like a couple pairs of hands, you might end up being like me and have to hold one of those strands of string with your mouth while you're pulling the part around the nose. It's all a dilemma. Okay, so there's that part. Before I go any further, before I forget, I'm going to do, if you have mica powder or if you have pink eyeshadow, the sparklier the better if it's eyeshadow. Don't fall over, buddy. I'm going to get him out of the way. The pink eyeshadow or pink mica powder, you just want to take a brush and take it into your mica powder, and then I like to dust it off in my hand a little bit, because then you don't end up with a really big amount on your nose in one spot like I used to do before I started doing that. And then you can take that hand and rub over it with the mica powder that you were going to have it as a big glob on them. Now you don't have that. And if you're doing under the nose, I still recommend you do it in your hand first, because then you take off that excess. Her nose is really pink, but it matches her outfit, so that's adorable. Then I got some hearts. We don't want to glue her braids on yet. First, I need to find the second braid. I don't know where. Oh, there it is. Jeepers creepers. Okay. I don't know. I want to make sure my braids are the right length. And so I'm going to put them off to the side, but in the front. So I want to make sure they're both the same length. Get that. I have a rubber band on this one. And I'm going to take the rubber band off because it just adds bulk to it, because I hot glued the top of this. And hopefully I can get the rubber band back off, or I'll just cut it off. What I thought I would do, I'll show you what I thought I would do. I put pink on her braids, and then what I thought I would do, because I want to bring the red down into her outfit, I thought I would put a red heart. These are brads, so if you've never used these before, hopefully we can get them to stay in here without squeezing the braid too much. And then another one down lower. Like I said, we want to have red in her outfit if we can get, or kind of in her outfit. And then I have some more red ones that I thought I would put. I have red buttons that I thought I would put on her, on the front of her, we'll call it her dress. It's not a dress, but we're going to call it a dress. So I have red buttons that I can, these were in the button box, and they've been in there for, I don't know, a couple thousand years. I don't know if you've ever heard this story, but I got my button box at a rummage sale at a church, and this little old lady was so excited to sell it to me because it was her button box, and the buttons in it were so old, and her mother had the button box, and her grandmother had the button box. And here's what I'll say: greatest saleswoman in the world. There were Dollar Tree buttons in there, and there were basically nothing else of substance in there. It made me laugh so hard when I got home, because I thought she was the greatest sales girl. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you think. We'll do some, the polls are open. Okay, I'm just going to take this. I'm going to use this one because it seems like it'll work better. It's another brad, but this time I'm going to put some hot glue on the back of it like that. I don't know if you saw that. And then I'm just going to shove it into her stomach underneath the nose. And I'm going to hold it in place for a second so that hopefully it stays. And if it seems like it's going to come out, then you're going to put a little dollop of glue behind the top of the heart. So hopefully it'll stay. Then these buttons that have these kind of back on them, hopefully you can see that, is a raised back. I'm going to put one right above the heart, and I'm going to try and get that glue off my thumb that's permanently adhered. And then I'm going to just hold her, oh jeepers, and push that in. And hopefully our button will stay the way we pushed it in. And then we're going to put another one right below it. Hopefully the same distance, so it seems like it is a button. And when you use that much hot glue, you don't have to worry about it getting cold, because it'll stay for a little while. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take her braids and put those in. And I want the braids to be the same length. So I need to make sure that I play with them a little bit, but I have to cut the bottoms because this one, I'm sure you saw the material or the thread, I guess we'll call it thread, that I used to make the braids. And let me tell you, this is not the easiest stuff to cut through because it's so, it's got so many strands. Close enough. So I'm going to put this one, I'm going to glue one on, and this is the one that's the weirdest because it's got that rubber band piece on it. And I'm going to glue it like that. I think that's a better spot, even though it's weird. I'm going to go with it. Alright, then this one, put some glue right there. Try not to burn myself this time. Okay, and I need to cut the ends of this braid down because the other side isn't this long. I might end up just doing that later. Alright, I'm not sure how that looks, but we're going with it anyway. Okay, now we have our red hat that we're going to put on. So I'm going to tuck the styrofoam ball all the way into the very top of my hat. And the easiest way to do that, if you have a styrofoam ball, because they get stuck on it, is to take it to the very top where the toe seam is and put it right there. And then you want to pull on it so that you can get a really tight seam, basically. And then I'm going to tie the thread around it again. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the arms. And I decided I wanted them to be a little bit shorter, so I cut that much off. That's probably about a 1/2 inch. Yep, 1/2 inch at its widest point. So then what you're going to do is you're going to start the rolling of these. And the way I do it is I start a little bit of glue where my first roll would be. And you're going to want to roll it kind of tightly, but you don't want to burn yourself. So we're going to start it like that. And then the basic rolling technique is like you'd roll, I guess, a cigarette maybe. I don't know. I've never rolled a cigarette, so I don't really know if that's what if this is what it's like, but I don't know how to explain it as far as rolling anything else either. So okay, so I'm gonna make this, you know what, I think that's wide enough, thick enough. See how thick that is? I mean, she's a girl, and besides we have another layer of material that goes over it, so I'm going to cut that much more off. So I'd say we're cutting probably 1 inch off. And then I'm going to put another bead of hot glue right in that last section so I can roll it tight. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to lay it on my board, and hopefully that'll be on the bottom. And I also want to make sure that this seam is at the top so that I don't have to worry about trying to put a mitten around that. And then I want to do the same with this one. I'm going to cut probably that much more off. Hopefully roll it like the other one. Seems like I'm cutting way more off. Ugh, whatever. Okay. Now keep in mind that this is the under layer of her sleeve, and this that I cut off when I made the her bodysuit. That is what we're going to use to make the rest of her, the sleeve. So I'm gonna cut that much and hope it's enough for one of the sleeves. Or I can go around both sides and see how far up I can, that's how far I can do. Probably be able to do both sleeves with that much. I don't want the top, there's an elastic up here, you don't want that. And this time, I think her arms, no, her arms aren't too long. All right, this is very stretchy, this material. So stretch it out a little bit if you're using it. And, well, you don't need to have it on the bottom. Never mind. Never mind what I'm telling you. Just ignore me. I'm going to put a little bit of it, of the glue, on this back part. And then I'm going to put my sleeve into the glue. And before, when I said, don't worry about that seam, that's going to go on the back. Now we're talking about this seam is going to be on the back. And I don't want a ton of this material down at the bottom, because that mitten is really tricky to adhere to a lot of material. So I'm going to try and cut some of that off. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on that area, the pink. And then, I know what you're thinking. Is she going to hurt herself? Probably. Okay. So I'm just going to roll that over like that. Let's put her mittens on. This is the size her mitten ends up being. And the way I did it is I make them bigger so that I can cut them down. And you want to make them so that the hand points in toward her body. So then, see your thumbs point in toward your body. So I'm making sure I did this right. I want to make sure, since that's the top, this is the bottom, we want to make sure that it fits in there and that you can get her hand in there, and that there's enough room for it to so that the mitten part is attached to her arm far enough down. Does that make sense? And then I put hot glue around the edges of it, and if I need to pull some of this out, then I do it. Oh, I don't like that being there. And then you want to lay the mitten, the top of the mitten, around her. And if it seems like it's too long, like right now it seems like it's too long, so what I need to do, I mean, if I decide I need to do this. Okay, this hand is really short compared to that one. Oh boy. Ugh, these are the dilemmas that I have. Okay, I want to take this back off, and I want to glue it up higher in her mitten, because the other one is really glued up in there. Okay, this goes on this side, and then this is going to go on this side. Okay, so I want to glue this seam. Oh, I got a little glue stick coming out. I'm going to glue that down. Try not to glue it to yourself. So far I haven't. I can cut that little piece of glue that's coming out of her mitten. I can glue that, take that off later. This is coming apart too. This is like the third time I've glued this part back together. I don't know why. It doesn't want to stay together. This part I don't touch with my hands, because these this bally material is basically just a little bit of balls and like a little bit of material and the rest of it is just not, it doesn't stay together. It's basically just loose little balls of material. Then you're going to want to glue this down to her, you're going to glue the mitten down to her hand, and then you want to glue the thumb together like that, because you want it to almost be like there is a thumb in there when there isn't. And we need to glue it to her hand too. So you want to, on the bottom or inside, just want to make sure you can pinch it and glue it to her hand. And then after I've done this, then I basically clean it up. And by cleaning it up, I mean, I don't know if you can see this, but this thumb is much longer than its little partner back to it. And then I want to take off a little bit more. It's tougher when there's glue in there, but you want to make sure that it's not going to be wonky. Then I like to cut the glue off the side of the mitten. You know, if it squeezes out, I just cut it off like that. And then I go around the mitten everywhere and make sure it's glued together. And if it's not, then of course I glue it down. I need to clean my glue gun, and if you didn't know how to clean your glue gun, all you need to do is take a little bit of aluminum foil and roll it up into a ball, and then you take the ball and wipe it on the nozzle of your glue gun, and that'll take off, like if you have, like mine has glue attached to it and fuzz and all kinds of things. If you want to get rid of that, that's how you do it. Okay, so I've got her hands the way I want them, I think, although I have a piece of glue. And they're pretty close to the same size because one of them is wider, one of them's thinner. That happens. So I mean, if you can come up with two arms that are exactly the same and two hands that are exactly the same, good for you, but I cannot. So we got to put our hands, I'm going to try and lift up her. Oh, I can put that one right there. How lovely. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tuck this up in here. And when she's standing beside him, her arm on, I got to make sure I get this right. This arm is going to be attached to this magnet. I think I should glue her hand like that. So I need to, hold on, I got to make sure this is right. I need to glue her magnet to the back of her hand. So I'm going to glue her hand to her magnet. Now let's see if we can get her hat on this side unglued from her head. I opened that up a little bit right there. Then what I need to do is glue her arm up in here, but I'm not sure how this is going to work since I have to make sure I got enough. Alright, I'm going to put my glue on the end of her arm, and hopefully this is going to work. I'm going to shove it in there, and I'm going to shove her parts of her in there. So I don't know if you can see them really well, or if you can see his little gift for her for Valentine's Day. I did make this so that I could pull it off with two magnets, and it clicks in like that. Both magnets are under his mittens so that you wouldn't be able to see them, but you can see it on this because you only will use that, I think, for Valentine's Day. And then they automatically grab hands. They're so cute. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this and that you give it a thumbs up and give it a try, because it was loads of fun to do. I loved making a couple of gnomes because, you know, why not? And please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.